Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Mahjong Meetup, Episode 7. I'm one of your hosts, Frenetic, coming at you with yet another delicious episode of Mahjong Meetup. I'm joined here by my special guest. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the
I'm Dusty. I'm the special guest now.
No, you're the host.
Whoa.
You're a host.
Oh,
You're
oh,
always
oh,
you're
oh.
always a special guest.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be special this time.
You're
So sad.
You're one of the hosts. Let's do that over again. I guess I just had dinner and I was like, wow, this is so good. And now for dessert, the Mahjong Meetup. Okay, I'm your host, Frenetic, and I'm also joined by my fellow host, Daske.
Hi everyone.
Again, our guest will be Emson from the Los Angeles Pride of Mahjong. He had a kind of a prior engagement, so he's running a bit late. So he'll be joining us shortly. If you guys could let us know, or maybe type in the chat and see how our vocals are, how the voice levels are, please go ahead and say if I'm too loud, or if Daske is too loud, or if we're too soft, and I can adjust accordingly. So, well, the topic of tonight's Mahjong Meetup is Daske. You had some very special travels in Japan, no?
Yeah, so basically for the better part of more than 3 weeks, I went to Japan for I went to Japan, worked 4 hours in the morning, and then basically spent all of the rest of my time going to random different Jansos in both Tokyo and Osaka.
Wow. So, can you tell us how you planned to go over to Japan? Like, what started that? And, like, what was the genesis of, like, okay, I'm going to go and gallivant off in Japan to play at Jansos?
Well, a couple years earlier, when I was still in college, I went and lived in Japan for about a year in Tokyo while I was studying at Sophia University.
Oh.
And basically, my entire point of going at that time was to play more mahjong because I could have already like graduated, but I'm like, or I could just spend a year in Japan on a nice visa that is given to me on a golden platter.
The student visa, yeah.
Yeah, those are nice. So if you have the chance to do that, definitely go for it. Plus, it's like the same amount that you're paying anyway, except you're in Japan. So yeah, I did that, and I put all my classes on 2 days, and I spent the other 5 days of the week either lounging around or going to Jansos. And so ever since then, I've been playing Mahjong over here with like the Pacific Mahjong League, and going around to like different tournaments and events in North America. Plus, I've been going to the Janso down in LA as well. But I don't know. If you compare, like, you know, playing with your good friends, or even in like the Pacific Mahjong League, or at like a lot of the conventions with a lot of the Western players,
Yes.
it's kind of, I guess, lacking compared to when you're going to the Jansos, to when, you know, you're the guy that's like, oh yeah, now you're the underdog, you're the one that's trying to go against like all these really, really strong people. Not all of them, but there are definitely a lot more than you'll see here.
I see.
And even
Yes.
some Jansos, yeah. And even some Jansos are just, I guess, really known for their really high level of play and whatnot. So it's really fun to go over there and play in that setting, to sit down and just be able to play Mahjong for 12 to 16 hours straight. It's always nice.
Wow, that's amazing. You're a true Mahjong maniac there, Daske. Yeah, I'd like to say
Alright.
that we're, you know, though we're starting out, the Riichi Mahjong scene in America is relatively new, but is experiencing, I feel like a large growth spurt right now, thanks to a lot of efforts from some individuals here all across in the West. It's one thing to play against people that are learning, and but to actually go to the homeland of Riichi Mahjong and play against strong players, it's kind of like Daske, you're like the world warrior in Street Fighter 2, Ryu, trying to only look for it's not it's not the fight, but you're trying to find the strongest players, right, and sit down and play with them. Yeah.
Yeah, because like you said, it's Richie Mahjong over here in the West is pretty young. Though I'm expecting within the next several years that it's going to explode to a nice amount, and the more people that we get in, the better the playing pool is going to get, and I'm really, really, really excited for that.
Yes, I
But
am
at the
too.
current but if you go to Japan, you have people that have been playing basically their entire lives. Even like the people that work at Johnso's, who are members, who can be as young as like 18 years old, have probably been playing a lot of them since they were really young. And being able to go over there and just like play with like all these I wouldn't say seasoned veterans, but people that like have been spending their entire lives playing Mahjong is really really fun, because there's a lot of stuff that you can I guess pick up by yourself or going on Tenho, but in playing in real life, not only does that kind of like have this really nice atmosphere where you're going over there, sitting down in a table in an entire facility just meant for purely Mahjong. But also compared to Tenho, you have a lot more aspects to the game, especially in regards to like the actual people and body language and all that stuff that you normally can't see on Tenho. And so I know Exkime mentioned once, he's like, yeah, you have these really good guys on Tenho, but if you compare them to like Fukuchi, or even if you put like Asapin against Fukuchi in real life,
Mm.
even though Asapin is like really high up there, um, mainly because Fukuchi has this how do you say experience in real life, going over there and not only reading all the tiles, reading the plays, but reading the people, reading how they look at certain stuff, see how they discard stuff, what they're paying attention to, etc., etc.
Yes.
That it basically becomes like a whole nother game, or well, not really a whole nother game, but a much more deep one, so to speak.
I see. Because you can't read, like, let's say, I'm reminded of this very fact about a little past event that happened. This anecdote where Shinki came up down from PML NorCal, drove down with you. We went to the Lapome Mahjong Dojo and sat down, and you, Masasan, and Shisho and Shinki sat down, and there were, when you guys were going over the game and what plays were being made, Shinki was saying, "Oh, I noticed that Masasan, you paused and you kind of wrinkled your brow and straightened up a little bit and said, and then you called Ricci." And so Shinki said, from that, I deduced that your Ricci weight wasn't that good, but you had to weigh the fact with you might have had some extra Dora or something like that.
Mm.
And that's why when you dealt, he ended up dealing a red 5 that he felt that would pass. And um, and I think that was one of that type of insight was what kind of thought persuaded Shisho and Masasan that there are some uh, players in the West, right, that know how to
Mm.
play. And I think that
Excuse me. Story. When he originally went to Japan the first time, about like 6 years or 5 years ago or so,
yes.
he met up with Fukuchi and played him. And there's this one point where Exkime had, after the reach, Fukuchi's like, "Oh, can I ask you a question?" He's like, "Sure." He's like, "Oh, were you waiting on the 5/8 mon?" He's like, "Yeah, how'd you know?" And Fukuchi said that basically, whenever he was going over there and drawing the tiles, um, basically he was making a slight difference between stuff that was Mon, stuff that wasn't Mon, and so he could then basically figure out that okay, he's most likely going and waiting on like this certain set of tiles, and then from there you can just look at the discards and figure out what he isn't waiting on, and then uh, better figure out like what is he actually going for.
Wow.
And while I do think stuff like in real reading like that is really really important, um, if you're I guess like if you're a new player and you're starting out and you don't know like a lot of like the core stuff like tile efficiency, defense, even like basic weight reading, as well as like daten or estimated points of your hand and all
Mm-hmm.
this other stuff, it doesn't technically matter how well you can read another person, so to speak,
Yes.
because at the end of the day, like no one's a god. And like don't ever think when you're playing against like these really experienced players that they can go over there and read your hand 100%, and they're like, yeah, he's waiting on this wait. It
Okay.
doesn't work that way. Especially with close hand reach. Like don't think like I know we had a new player at our club, and he was over there. He's like, "Oh yeah," he was talking about Shinky. He's like, He's gonna read my hand." I'm like, "No, you can't read your hands." like, like, even for like weight reading, you can figure out like what they're probably not waiting on, what they're not waiting on. But especially for closed hands and such, actually figuring out their exact weight is literally impossible. Yes, you can maybe guess it some of the time, but 100% certainty for that, that's not how it works. So yeah. But even so, whenever you're going over there and playing with these players in Japan, not only do they have like a really high level of like the basic understanding of the game, but then
Yes.
they also have you know this sense of like reading their opponents that they picked up from for years, which you can actually use that against them. But that's another story.
Mm. A little bluffing. So
Uh,
you get in the airport, you fly out. Can I ask you, inquire how much were tickets? I think it's like cheaper now, like $400 to $500 to fly over to Japan. Yeah.
yeah, depending on what type of time of year you actually fly, you can find some really cheap. I know my roommate got a very cheap flight to Japan, a non-stop one for 450 on
Oh,
like flight deals or something, which
wow.
is insane. Normally, you're going to be looking in the 900 to like 1300 range.
Wow.
But if you want to go even cheaper than that, there are some normally like out of San Francisco flights that go through China Air that would have maybe like a 30-hour layover.
Wow.
But if you look and you're flexible with the time that you're willing to go throughout the year, you can definitely find some really cheap good deals out there. But if you're going to be going like during like the high end times of travel and whatnot, um, expect to pay a little bit more.
That's cool. So where did you end up staying? Like how? And now we're talking about flight. I'm trying to kind of give the viewers at home how much to give them idea how much to save up. So what was your accommodations and how much were they?
So my actual accommodations, I did through Airbnb. In which
Oh,
case,
they have
Airbnb is
Airbnb.
basically,
Hmm.
yeah, over there in Japan. But I did Airbnb in three different places throughout my stay. The first in Tokyo, the second in Osaka, and then back when I came to Tokyo. And I believe like the average per night. Let's see, I actually have my receipts and all that right in front of me.
Oh, good.
Da-da-da-da. Um, but yeah, per night it was actually very cheap. For instance, like my first one that I had for how many days is that? July 23rd to the 28th was about 127 in total. Da, da, da. In Osaka, about like 363 plus the final route, which was all the calculations. 200 or about $300.
Oh,
So in
wow.
total, I would say it's like about 700-ish
Oh,
or 750-ish
oh, so that's about
for all 3 weeks.
all 3 weeks. Wow. So 700 divided by 21. That's about $30 to $40 a night. Yeah, 40 to 50.
Yeah,
That is
and
amazing.
uh, and those aren't even the cheapest places. So Airbnb is really nice, and my hosts that I had over there were all really nice as well.
So what kind
And
of
especially, yeah, and
you?
especially for like my purpose, where I'm just going to play what's it called, Japan, or play mahjong anyway all day. As long as I have a place to sleep, it's whatever.
Hmm. Wow, that's great. So, guys, if you guys think that Japan's really expensive, it's more doable than you might think. So, Daisuke, you fly out and you get into Tokyo. What's the first
I
thing that you did?
waited in line for an hour
An
get
hour.
my Japanese rail pass that I had over there. I didn't get this last time I was there because you can't get it on a student visa. You can only get it on a visitor's visa.
Mm.
But basically, it gives you free rides during your stay for the amount that you requested on any what's it called, JR train and some of the Shinkansen. So
Wow.
even just like a trip to Osaka and back will already pay for it in value.
Wow. So you got to ride basically for free, yeah?
Not for free. It's basically I'm paying ahead of time, and then I get to go and once I'm there, use as much as I want, and I can go to any
Wow.
different places.
Unlimited. Y- Move over, Uber. Here's the Japan rail system.
Yeah, unfortunately, Uber is not that successful in Japan,
Mm.
which is sad because taxi rates in Tokyo are so high.
Uh, so you get your rail pass. Then which Janso do you have your eyes on when you're like, I'm hitting the ground running. I'm gonna go to this Janso. Which Janso do you go to?
So I flew in. I left on like Friday, San Francisco time, and then I got there on or actually no, I left or yeah, it was Friday morning on San Francisco time. And then I got there on Saturday evening-ish in Japanese time around 4 or 5 o'clock.
Oh,
From there I waited in line for a little while, and then took an hour train to my first place I'm staying at, which was in Shinjuku, a little bit north of Kabukicho. Don't stay in
whoa!
Kabukicho. Um, but yeah, the place I was staying at was really good though. Though, so I got in that night, unpacked all my stuff, and it's like 8, 9 o'clock, and I'm like, yeah, I should probably go to sleep because I'm got to get my schedule so I can wake up at 7 a.m. every morning to work for 4 hours before I can actually go out and play and do stuff.
Okay.
And so I'm like, yeah, but I got like a day. And then I looked at my map and said, oh, okay, show me the nearest Jansos. And all the ones over there in Shinjuku were about like a 5 minute walk from me or a 10 minute
A
walk. And
five.
so I'm like, oh, okay. Um, I've never been to like, a lot of the March chain last time I was here because
Mm.
most of the time I went to Zoo because that's where I first got in and that's where like my friends work.
Uh,
And so I'm like, yeah, this time I'm gonna try to go to a lot of these Martell aside from the other Johnsons I want to go to.
okay.
So I walked down to Shinjuku, went into the Martell there, and started playing.
So
uh,
so how? So we were talking about the other episodes where they don't accept gaijin to come in. How did you bridge that gap? Like when you went to the march out, did they look at you like before you started talking? Were they like, "Who is this guy? He's in the wrong place."
well, that's basically every Jonso a gaijin walks into.
A
Um,
gaijin. Let me tell
some
you
are,
this joke. A gaijin walks into a Janso.
and they kick him out.
Yeah.
Oh no, just kidding.
Okay.
Supposedly this Jonso, back in the day, I think like in 2008 or so,
Mm.
uh, Benjamin Boas actually hosted like a Gaijin Mahjong meetup at this Jonso,
Oh.
and I found that out later on. But yeah, so usually when I go into Jonsos and say yes, like I know the rules, I've played here or I played at other Jonsos before, and then show them that I can actually speak some Japanese, they're pretty okay with everything.
Mm.
Um, and so I walked into there and then started playing. The rates that they have at Marchao are Tengo and Tempin. So basically like $1 per 1,000 points and 50 cents per 1,000 points. In which case the Tempin has, I believe, $5 shugi, while the Tengo has $1 shugi.
Mm. So
Dun,
at the
dun.
Janso here in SoCal, they play ten pin.
Correct.
Uh, and the
Or
cheaper.
no. They play Tengo at
Oh.
the Jonso in
Mm.
LA.
So the LA Janso is cheaper than ten go. 10 pin? Is it cheaper at the
Uh,
10?
it's cheaper than Tempin. They play Tengo.
Oh, okay, okay. So what rate do you play at?
Originally I'm just like whichever there's more people playing.
Oh, okay.
So because I'm going to go over there and playing a lot anyway, generally speaking, I'll either play Tengo or Tempin. That night I'm like, yeah, I just got off the plane. I'm like burned out. So let's play Tengo.
Okay.
Um, and so I start playing over there, and then this guy walks in, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, whoa, it's like a gaijin. Like he looks like the whitest white guy I've ever seen at Janso before. And so he walks in, and then he starts playing for a while, and then like we're playing basically in silent for like an hour or so, or 2 hours or so, and then he ends up leaving. And when he's leaving, I asked like, oh, like, are you Japanese? And he replies to me in English. He's like, yeah, I'm like half Japanese. My mom is American. And so I was like, oh, okay. So that was pretty interesting, just to run into a random uh, half gaijin.
Oh wow, that's kind of
uh,
cool.
how's Jonso food? That matcha was really nice. Their coffee they had there, I usually get adi adi, or coffee with milk and sugar at most all Jonsos that I go to.
Mm.
Hotto adi adi. But the ones over there in Martao were pretty nice,
So
or at least the ones I got.
how much is food over there then when you're in Marchow, like in the Janso? Like coffee was.
Um, Coffee is like coffee. If you want tea, or even if some places have like hot chocolate, they usually have Coca-Cola. Drinks are usually all free, except some maybe
Oh
like the premium drinks. So as long as you're there, you can just keep drinking as much as you want.
wow,
Food usually costs, and they have it anywhere from like basically cup ramen, except it's cup yakisoba.
cup
Uh,
yakisoba.
Mm. And then they also have other ones where they'll have basically like a katsudon, and then serve that up for you. But usually in the range of like $1 to $5. To some places that have like $10. Some really really good food.
Ooh,
Um,
$10 really good foods. Mm.
and if you go to like the higher rate Jonsos, some places like that will also have just like free food that you can get as well. So I know one of the places I went to had like free curry and like free ice cream.
Free curry and free ice
But
cream, guys. The promised land in the Janso. Here's your
there,
chance to
there's
eat.
always a catch. Take this free curry and ice cream. That'll be $200 that you lost through the
Wah,
games.
wah. Okay, the half Japanese Hoppa guy
So
leaves.
yeah,
Did you guys exchange
and so that,
information or anything? You're like, hey man, like tell me about the Johnsos around here. No, you'll see
no,
me
no,
later.
not really. I don't think
Okay.
he was that interested. He's like, random gaijin. But so I kept playing over there, and it was going into nighttime after they close. And when a Jonso quote unquote closes, they don't actually close. So the way the how do you say, not labor laws, but basically when they're allowed to stay open for business kind of is a very very gray area over there in Japan, especially for stuff like Jansos.
Mm.
Um, and technically speaking, they're not supposed, or they're not allowed to play through the night. But they kind of secretly play through the night by just shutting all the blinds, and then basically turning off the elevator to their floor and saying, "Okay, we're closed now, but the people that happen to still be here, we'll play with them, right?"
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So at nighttime, it was basically just like one other customer, and then two other members. And the members that usually work at Junso's are pretty good, because if they're not good, they will lose their paycheck, literally. Um,
Oh.
so yeah, so I kept playing like that until about like 2 o'clock, and I'm like, okay, I might as well like head home right now. And so go over there, grab my change, say goodbye, walk down, hit the elevator, and then I start walking outside, and I realize, oh wait, I don't have my bag with me. So I turn around and try to go back up the elevator, but the elevator is locked. And so I'm like, what is this? And then I go try the stairs, but the stairs are shuttered off as well.
Oh no.
And also my phone was in my bag as well. And so I'm just like, I have no way to contact them either.
Guys at home,
Uh,
don't do this on your first night in Japan.
and so I walked out, and it's like 2 a.m. ish or so, and I see like these like three random guys, or two random guys and a girl just like walking around. And so I go over there and say, "Excuse me, could I use your phone to call a Janso?" And they're like, oh, okay. And they were playing Pokemon Go, so that's why you have random people out in the middle of the night.
Oh, thank goodness for Pokemon Go.
I know, right? So I was talking to them for a while about like random stuff, and they asked me like, "Oh yeah, do you like Clinton or do you like Trump?" And I'm like, in which case, I actually heard that or like comments about like the presidential race like several different times. People just like, "Oh yeah, what do you think?" Since you're American and all. But yeah, so we were standing outside. That we tried to call the Jonso, and the Jonso didn't answer. So
Oh.
we're just and then a little later, a guy that works in another floor came out, and he was basically, packing up for the night, and we wrapped him into our conversation as well. So there's just like five of us randomly talking, and then finally, someone comes out of the elevator, and then they're like, "Oh, look, the elevator's open! Quick, grab it, grab it!"
Uh-huh.
So one of the guys jumps in there, and then like catches open the elevator, and he's like, "Go, go!"
Go,
Um,
go.
so yeah, so after that, I went back up and then walked in the room, like, oh, I forgot my bag. And then one of the members is like, oh, you're just in time. We need a fourth. I'm like,
They
uh,
keep on dragging me back in. So what do you do here, Dasuke?
might as well. So I decided to go and play some more. And at that point, I was playing with three members that
Three
worked at the place
members.
and me. And
How?
so that
Okay.
was
So tell us about this game because this is obviously like a special. So what was it like playing with three very strong players?
The same way it always is with three very strong players.
Uh-huh.
You have to try very, very hard to not lose.
Not
Um,
lose.
which
Okay.
can be especially fun after like, taking a plane over there and like staying up all night. And so you're just driving yourself with endless adi adi coffee.
Mm.
And also at that Martel they had like free chocolates there, so that was really nice as well.
Oh, free chocolates. So,
Free chocolates.
how'd you do at this? How many hanchans did you play with these three
Uh,
strong members?
the first night, I played about like half of my games, so I played about 9 Hanchan with them.
Mm.
Throughout the entire first night I was there, I played 18 Hanchan.
Oh,
Got
okay.
wrecked so hard at the end of the night.
Oh.
Like at the first part of the day, I had like, I was getting like 1-1, 2-2 stuff, but like later on, it was just like that morning, it's like getting slaughtered. I know I had like 2 games in a row where I dropped below zero, or and like 2 games or like 3 games in a row where one single member ended up getting over 60,000 K,
Oh my
and so it's just
gosh.
like
Did you have to pay for
he's
these
just getting
games?
like, oh yeah. You have to pay both the rate, and then you also have to pay for every single game. You'll have a game
Mm.
fee, which can be anywhere from like $4 to $6.
Wow. Maybe get a good night's sleep next time, Dasuke.
Nah, nah, nah.
Okay.
No, no such thing.
Okay.
Got to got to be able to do it in any condition.
Okay.
But yeah, so I played without them through the night, and then I headed out from there.
Okay.
Um,
What happened to the next the next day? So you work, you get up, and then you go to work, and then
mhm.
what's the next on the menu?
Next on the menu is, well, I posted the March Outside in the chat. If you look on there, you'll see like all these little bitty different stores that they have. You scroll down just a little,
Hmm.
and they're all like Zeta and like Theta and Lambda and all that stuff. And so I'm basically just like, looked at my new Marchal thing account that I have. It's like, oh, okay, you can get like points for like going to different places and whatnot. And so I
Oh,
was like,
cool.
okay, I'll just like try to go to like a lot of these different ones. And they also have professionals from different leagues and such that will act as like pro guests there. And so I'm like, okay, I'll like go and look through the list to see if there's like any professionals that are like that interest me or that I know of.
Okay. So you're going
And
pro hunting.
so basically. And so like the next day I went to Kita Senju, and which is I think Lambda, and I went to see if I could play with oh, what is his name? Kihara Pro, who is a pretty high up Renmei Pro. And he also he has like his own site and does like all these different like tutorials and like what would you do kind of stuff. So I was like, okay, that'd be pretty cool.
Mm.
So I went in there and then played what is it called, temping again that day. Got seated on a table with three different people, and well, it's always three different people.
Okay.
But it was an interesting group of people because you had like, so whenever you go to Johnso's, it's not all like god tier people. You
Okay.
have a very, very high range of people that go there, especially in bigger chain ones like Zoo and Martel. You're gonna have like scrubs. You're gonna have like slightly better people. Usually like the super good ones are off playing in like high rate ones, but you can still get some pretty decent and really good people that come there or happen to be regulars. And so on the table that I got set with, there's this one guy over there who was just like, I don't even know, like free balling or something. Because the entire time he was just like pushing everything, like regardless of trade value or anything for that matter. Um, and he got slaughtered.
Oh, that's what happens
But
if you free ball. You can't do that all the time, guy.
no, right?
So he'd push you.
But
Would he reach you a lot, or just call a lot of tiles?
he would basically just push everything, like third turn dealer reach. Whatever, pushes. Throwing several like dangerous like middle tiles. 7 turns later, Sumo, 1,000 kind of sort of thing. But yeah, it's kind of like going over there and to like a casino or something, and then like finding like that one guy that's just like going all in on everything.
The
Um,
donk. The donk.
the dog. I mean, yeah, like you might win some, but you're gonna lose more than you win.
Hmm.
Uh, but a lot of these like old people, especially like they don't really care about
Money.
getting better or like viewing the game in like a strategic kind of like way. A lot of them just kind of do it for like the social aspect, or even there's just some that have like their own kind of stylish thing that they've been doing and that they'll keep doing until the day they die.
Uh,
Um, then you have other old people that were like really kind of like focused for the strategy and stuff. But generally speaking,
you have the old
it's a
people
lot
like
more.
from the Shinjanki era, right? That made their
Uh,
bones are in the 70s.
Shinzunki area. Not that. Well, there are some, yes, like that. But usually more like later, later 50s, 60s, or even just like some standard salaryman people. It's kind of like their how do you say, break from life. They get to go over there and ride the flow, go test
Right.
out their luck, and if they're lucky, they might get a little cash for it.
They
But
ride the flow. Ride the flow. Ride the flow.
let's see. Oh, how do you say the name? MB2. What? I'm just gonna say. Everybody asked, how will you adjust to the difference in scoring system? So that's a good question because whenever you're looking at Tenho, Tenho is very, very different from Jonso's in that in Tenho you don't want to get last. In Jonso's you don't want to get anything but first in most cases. Not to mention, also in Tenho, when you're going to different Jonsos, you're going to be playing different rules. Whether that's using different amounts of what is that called? Red Dora, whether the amount of Shugi is going to be so prevalent that it changes your entire focus of play to like go for like Ipatsus and Red Dora and Duradora specifically. And so a lot of things can change about your style that you're playing when you're going to different genres, especially that have different rules and different rates. Because what you normally do in Tenho is basically just a placement only game. And so there's not that much to think about in regards to like figuring out like, oh, okay, do I want to actually like go with this hand or push this hand? You can
Hey.
usually just kind of look at the immediate point situation, and look at your placement and figure out, oh, okay, I can get this from there. But in the case where you're going to a Jonso, placement isn't the only thing. And in fact, in most places, placement isn't much anything at all compared to the actual points that you're going to be getting and the points that you're going to be risking. And so, especially if you're jumping around to a lot of different rule sets, that can be really, really tricky. And you need to know way, way beforehand when you're actually playing what the rules are, what the weights are, and how you should play before you even go into the place, or you're going to um, not make much money and probably
Uh,
lose a lot as well.
and probably lose.
So definitely always read through the rules and know what you're playing before you actually play it.
Hey, look who walked through the door. We are joined by
Hey
Masa-san.
Daisuke, I was
Masa-san, what's
listening
up?
while I'm driving.
You're
So,
driving?
how was the
Oh, you were
curry?
driving.
How was the curry at the Janso? Was it good?
How was the curry at the Johnso? Yeah, it was really good. They had like even like pieces of like vinegar on, or not vinegar, like garlic on there. But yeah, the chefs at that Johnso were really nice. The ice cream was really good
Wow.
as well, so
Wow, free
good
ice cream
service.
too. Servisu, servisu.
So, did you guys talk about to where the second night?
Yeah, second night. So he's going back to Marcho to play a pro from Renmi.
Remy.
Um,
Reme, Kihara Pro. Or not Reme. That was what's it called? Kyokai.
Kyokai.
okay.
Hmm.
So you go and did you find and get to sit at the table with him?
Unfortunately, not. So he came
Oh,
in that night, and then about like at I think 6 o'clock or so, and as soon as he got sat down with like a couple of the members as well. So I was like, but yeah, he went over there and like played several games throughout the night, and all the people that I was sitting with basically stayed the entire night as well. It was funny too because one of the guys was a younger one that kind of like came there to see Kiata, but because we're all staying there, we don't get to switch tables, and so it's just like whoops. Um, but it was kind of funny because at Junso's, especially for like a lot of the newer ones, they're very like peppy and upbeat, and they kind of like will go over there and like announce like, oh, Mr. So and so is the first place winner, and like oh, thank you for the game fee, etc., etc. But yeah, throughout that night, it was just like, oh, Kiara Pro is the winner. Oh, Kiara Pro is the winner. Oh, Kiara Pro is the winner. And so it's like, damn. So that was pretty fun.
maybe you should do that at La Pomme, huh, Masa-san,
I
where
guess.
you can walk
I
around
know.
and
Who else did you play? Like famous one? Any female pros?
Yeah, I played several female pros. Oh my God, there's two that I played at. Or so I went mostly around every day to different Martel, and then I finally ended up at one which was where is that place? I completely forget. Um, something something something. But anyway, like Shita. I have no idea how to say this. Oh, Shimokitazawa. So there, I went to the Martel, and I place walked in and said, "Oh, do you guys have like rates here, or like Temping and Tengo?" And they're like, "No, actually, we're a bit different from all the other Martel. We are actually a no rate parlor." And so it's like,
Oh.
wow, that's pretty interesting. And so what they do there is they play Saikyoisen
Uh huh.
rules, and they have basically a league system. So every single game you're timed, and you have 50 minutes, and then after that 50 minutes, you can finish your hand and then one more. Uh, and then they go over there and record the scores, and then it goes and adds up to a total league score. That place was pretty fun because the first game I was in, uh, I was sitting down with like two pros. I believe the one across from me was from Saikyoisen. But in East 2, like I dealt into I think it was like a seventh turn, mostly or like one call dice Tangen to one of the who was that Saikyo Pro, who was also dealer at the time, and so I was like, damn, I'm glad I wasn't playing rates.
oh,
So yeah, that was pretty fun.
wow.
But the main reason I came to that place in the first place was because Kobayashi Go was going to be a guest there later that night.
Wow.
And I've read one of his books, which is, or actually, I don't think this might be his only book,
Super digital.
Super Digital Mahjong. And so yeah, it was really fun playing with him.
Wow. So you play?
With Kobayashi Go,
Uh huh.
yes.
Wow.
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 How'd you do as playing Kobayashi Go, San?
Uh, well, aside from the times that because he was like guest proing, right? And so, but he was acting like, I guess, taking up the role of a member. And so, usually when members go over there and play, especially if it's early game and a new guest walks in, they have to give up their seat. And so, most of the time, it was basically just like he sit down and plays, and then like a guest walks in, and he's like, "Oh, okay," guest goes in. But later in the night, I actually got to play him, and it was really fun. I know I had this like one scene where, like early in the game, a tile dropped down from the wall, um, which happened to be what is it called, like the five Sozu. So it was put back on the wall, and then they went over there and pushed up all the walls and all that. So the five Sozo ended up being the door tile. And later in that game, Kobayashi Go goes into a reach, basically with a Nakabukure.
Uh huh.
So it's like a what's it called?
Four,
A
five, five,
three
six.
or a 4 5 5 6, and another shampon
Uh huh.
weight, and ends up sumoing on that like last door tile.
Wow.
And so it's like, wow, did you plan that? So
Yes, he did.
that was pretty cool.
Wow.
Wow.
I wanted to ask him like so many questions. He's like one of the top pro right now, right?
I don't know if he's like top pro, but he has been doing pretty good. Well, actually, I don't know. One of the last tournaments I saw, his stats were not good. Though, Kobayashi Go. People in chat are like, "Oh, who's that?" So I'm trying to find a page for him real quick.
Yeah, he is a pro, and he doesn't look like he doesn't do so many like fancy stuff, but he's pretty strong.
Yeah, he has a very well, like his book is called Super Digital Mahjong, if that tells you anything about the style that he actually plays. Here's his wiki. Three.
And
But yeah, he was a really solid player though.
yeah, and then some of
Um,
his the game is on the YouTube, and I think people should take a look. What amazed me was he handled the situation, or he controlled the situation, and somehow he's super good.
Mm.
Anyway, go ahead. Let's get
Super
next.
single
Who
viper. Oh,
else you
here's
play?
a um. Aside from him, like not many noticeable pros actually, or that I was actually going for. I originally really wanted to go and play Horiuchi there
Oh,
later on, but I found out that he was actually going to for like some event in Korea or South Korea that
oh yeah,
week,
yeah, yeah.
and so I was like, no. But he still helped me out a lot, and so that was really nice.
That's cool.
Dun,
And,
dun.
and how long did you stay in Osaka?
So I stayed in Osaka for a little bit more, about like a week and a half.
Oh, wow, that's
Eh,
long.
Mm.
So
And the time I was in Osaka,
you
hmm?
went to see a Exkime, right?
Yeah, I went to the XKMA. The Airbnb that I got was about like a 10-minute walk away from the Janso that that he works at as well.
So you play with the Exkime?
Yep. That was basically several days over there,
I
just
see.
going to XKMA's Janso. So the first
Did you
day I
guys
got
did you
there,
guys play with
hmm?
the kombi?
Play with the what?
Kombi in a partner?
So XKMA was basically a what's it called? A member at the Jansos there. But he gets to fill in a lot playing over there.
So
And so
what
even
I'm
though he was
asking is like, did you guys
hmm?
team up? Like you made like
Oh, Team
secret
Kobe?
signs and stuff.
Sign, did you wiggle your ear
Nah.
or touch your nose?
It's quite the opposite. At the end of the month, Xkimo was complaining because the night before he was playing and then he got like absolutely slaughtered after like several of his, he had like several really nice early Richis, but later on, several people ended up Okake reaching and running him. And so at the end of that, he was like, "Yeah, I used up my last Ichiman for the month." And I'm like, "Wait, what happened to all the money you earned last?" He's like, "Oh, well, I was at Tokyo a couple weeks ago, and so I used it all there." And he's like,
Ooh.
"Oh, that sucks." So go strong, ex Kime.
I guess he went to in Tokyo with those Fukuchi's Janso, right?
Um, or what's it called? Exime went over there. I don't know if Exime went to Fukuchi. I know he went and played what's it called? Like Taro and Horiuchi at
That's really nice.
Horiuchi's Janso they works Dandy, and ended up like exploding because everyone was just like getting tons and tons of Uradora and like Red Dora sumos that day, as well as Rons, and so he lost pretty big out of the games he played there. But he said he had fun, so that's what counts.
Hope he learned something,
Yeah.
at least. So how was Exkime?
Yeah,
Tell us about
mm.
Exkime.
Yeah. Who is Exkime? Like, talk about him a little bit.
Who is Exkime?
Who is
Um,
Exkime?
Exkime is a Mahjong player from Argentina. He's most noticeably known for, at least in our community, for several of the guides that he's written on Osamuko, um, which are like translated from different areas. And then he's also been doing some translation of Shibukawa's weight reading book.
Mm.
But several years back, he went over there to Japan, and now he's back over there living in Japan, going and working at a Jonso, and also trying to become a Kyokai pro, the Mahjong idol. I wouldn't say Mahjong. I don't know about Mahjong idol, but
Living the
he's
dream.
definitely he's definitely doing what he likes, going over there, and it can be really really tough, working uh, basically 12 hours every day between two jobs, just to do kind of like what you like. And especially in the case of members, they don't just get to go over there and play Mahjong all they want. Even the Mahjong that they play, they're limited in certain regards, because, you know, they can only, a member's job is there to make the customers kind of happy, or at least don't make the customers feel cheated in any way. So whether that's like, you know, let's say someone discards a tile and then X teammate does like a slight pause, which is known as like a koshi.
Koshi.
So in that case right there, because he's a member, even if he was like, you know, possibly waiting on a tile around that or something, he would have to go over there and change his hand so that it wouldn't be that, because basically some of like the older Janso members will find that koshi high kind of unfair. And so he kind of has to play with like these restrictions and whatnot that are going on about him. And especially like an early game, members have to play a certain way for just in case like a new guest comes in and they want to sit down at the table. If a member is going over there and just playing like whatever and gets down at the beginning, then the guest would probably say, "No, I don't want into that game," because no one wants to walk into a game for money that is kind of already being lost. So yeah, it's definitely tough, but he looks like he's having fun.
So you're a good friend with the Exkime, right? Are you guys a really good
Yeah, for the
friends?
most part.
Can we invite him into the podcast guest next time?
Oh yeah.
Yes, I've been trying to get him for forever, but because of his work schedule, it's like, oh, what is it? We have to get him on his day off, but because he's working two jobs, he only gets basically like maybe a couple days off throughout the month. Uh, and so it's kind of hard to get him right now, because usually at this time he's either on his way to work or working.
I see.
So that can be kind of difficult.
What about we do the podcast in the early morning then? I think
Mm.
it's a good time in like nighttime in Japan.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Even if we did like our what's it called, broadcast like a couple hours earlier before now, that would probably be good for him because that's only about like 10 o'clock over there. And so some days he works at the Johnso, which isn't open until like 12 o'clock. Then it would be okay.
Okay, XKMA, if you're watching, if I see you in chat, I'm gonna rope you in. We're gonna have you on to talk about Mahjong, a player that that works at a mahjong dojo. I mean, Janso.
Yeah, we should ask how tough is to be a member.
Yeah,
I think that's really tough.
it's a tough life. But it's for the
But yeah,
love
actually,
of the game. Yeah.
for the love of the oh god, I just read something that is
Did,
going to have some repercussions later on. But anyway, yeah, so XKMA is definitely having fun over there, and I went over to Osaka, and aside from playing Mahjong every day at his Johnso and whatnot, except the days he was working his other job, uh, I was basically at his Johnso playing, and then I know one night we went out and sang karaoke. And XCMate loves karaoke.
oh wow.
But it's kind of funny because we were going throughout the entire night, and I had to work the next morning. Um, and it's like already past the point where like the trains leave, and so XC was like, no, let's just keep playing, let's just keep playing. And I'm like, because I was playing for the karaoke that night, and so I'm just like, okay, it's all right if you stay because I need to walk home to go what is it called?
Save.
Get to my job. And so it's like, oh, okay, thanks. So yeah, there's that. But it was
So,
really fun hanging out with them.
what stopped you from going to Kabukicho and doing like the Tetsunagi Kirinji? What are the Jansos like over there? Like in the jungle of Kabukicho? Did you?
In the jungle of Kabukicho.
Yeah.
No clue. I went to the Kabuking equivalent, which is like the first Junso that what's it called? Kirinji goes to, which
Oh.
supposedly Dandy, the place Horiyuchi works at, is the Junso that was modeled after.
Oh.
And so that was actually a really fun place. That was like one of the last places I went to. So let me give you a little explanation of the rates and such.
Okay, sure.
It's a Tompusen only place with four red Dora. Every single red Dora is worth $10, or every single Shugi is worth $10. So if you have a red Dora in your hand, that's an immediate $10 if you win with it. And then if you get Ipatsu and Uradora, then that's also worth Shugi as well. So you have that, and points don't actually count for anything. Only placements do here. So the game fee there is 600 yen, so like $6 per Tompusen.
Wow.
And then
that's
for first place,
expensive.
you get the equivalent of $90. For second place, you get the equivalent of $30. For third, you lose $40, and for fourth, you lose $80.
Oh.
And that's in a Tompusen, so East only game. So
That's
it's a
crazy.
pretty high rate place, and
It
you have
is.
people like Horiyuchi who are like god level tier. Oh, I wanted to play him so bad. Working there. So the night before, I messaged Horiyuchi on Twitter, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I really want to play with you." He was like, "Oh, thanks. Sadly, I'm in Korea this week, but definitely later on." And so that night, I went into the place, and immediately the main member that was working behind the counter there kind of like had a really shocked face, and he's like, are you in the right place? Yes. Can you speak Japanese? Yes. Can you play mahjong? Mm-hmm. Have you played free mahjong before? Yes. Okay, just a sec. I need to make a call. And so he like runs off and grabs his phone and like makes a call to someone and is like looking over at me. And then he goes over and talks. He's like, "Wait, do you know Horiyuchi?" Yeah. He's like, "Okay, just a sec." And so he goes over there and calls Horiyuchi. And talks and talks and talks, and then he's like, "Okay, we're all good. Let me give you like the explanation of the rules and whatnot." Um, and later that next morning, I know Horiyuchi messaged me on Twitter and says, "Oh, sorry I wasn't at the able to meet you last night, but thanks for coming to my Johnso." Uh,
Wow.
so that was pretty cool.
That's really cool. Well, I think we're gonna have to cut this episode a bit short because we have to have a PML meeting. But let's split this episode in two. So next episode we're going to talk some more about your different travels and the different foods at the Johnso that you got to eat. Okay, so this is the Mahjong Meetup, episode 7. Again, sorry to cut this off so abruptly. We just have some business to attend to, especially in the wake of adding more chapters for PML, and also the PML Ricci Open that's going to be next month. So um, we'll see you guys in
Oh,
the
the
Discord.
players list is up as well.
Yeah.
I'll link that real quick.
XGO, are you
All
in
right,
Japan?
I think he's
right
back.
now.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah, I think he's back.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, XGO. We're gonna have you on the next episode to talk about you're playing in the Jonso. Okay, so
Yeah.
tune in next time. There's many more episodes about Dasuke's Jonso travels. So we'll get to that in part 2. Okay. Again, this is the Mahjong Meetup. Signing off. We'll see you sometime soon. Keep on playing. That's important. All right.
Bye bye.
Catch you later.